Stella Donnelly, Flood album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from Wood Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest album from Miss Stella Donnelly, Australia-based singer-songwriter. This is her second album, and she made some fairly big waves with her debut album a couple of years back with Beware of the Dogs. This was an album that a lot of people liked, but I absolutely adored this thing. In general, easily one of the best singer-songwriter albums I heard all year. I thought Stella had a great personality. She was writing very snarky lyrics, and just some of the singles on this thing, especially Old Man, I thought were just great. It was equal parts fierce and really emotional. She had very quickly become one of my favorite, modern singer-songwriters. And leading up to this album, I thought she dropped three really great singles. Let's chat about this thing. This album starts off with Lungs, and yeah, I've enjoyed it since it dropped as a single. I think this track is great. It's poppy, it's light, it's sweet on the ears, but it also has just enough energy to it to kind of take it to the next level. I love Stella's vocal performance. A lot of her vocals on this album are just really charming, especially on this chorus here. And outside of that, I just think this is just an overall really great indie pop tune. And it has the same very introspective, very personal lyrical content that I fell in love with to begin with her music. This is just a great start. I'm also kind of obsessed with How Was Your Day. It is quaint, it is adorable, it is the old school, sort of wordy singer-songwriter track that I would have loved growing up. I personally cannot be in a physically bad mood listening to this track. And it's so catchy, it's so sweet, and as far as her personality goes, it's right on the money. Now I will say this, the one thing that I was kind of lukewarm on her debut album were some of the ballads. But one thing that I am happy to report is that the ballads on this album are leaps and bounds better than her debut. Take, for example, Restricted Account. I love the hazy, very weird instrumentals to this track. It's just something new for Stella. I salute that. The horns are really kind of interesting as well, and her vocals are really smoky. The jazzy horns, the breezy atmosphere, so well done. But she's never not the star, and that is exactly how it should be. Also, it is just as tender and personal as anything else she's put out. Underwater is really sweet as well. I'm so glad that she put so much more effort into the ballads this time around, or at least they're, hitting my funny bone a little bit more. It is so quiet, deathly quiet. It is just Stella Donnelly and her piano, but it is so unbearably emotional and deep and passionately performed that, wow, it's staggering. It is gorgeous, it is heartbreaking, and it is a 5-minute track, and you know what, it's really, honestly, it's worth it. Now, I will say this, there are some moments where, later on in the album, I feel like she still has some growing that she needs to do. This week, it doesn't hit me as hard. It's kind of meh. It's in the vein of a lot of the material that I would have, heard on her debut album and just not have been that interested in. I do like the backing instrumental in parts. It's actually pretty cool, but it just doesn't seem to have that raw sense of personality. I mean, lyrically, I still enjoy it, but it just doesn't have that gut punch. And I think Oh My is the worst track here. I mean, to put it bluntly, I just expect more from her. This is bland, it's slow-paced, it's boring, and honestly kind of faceless. Like, there have been such fantastic ballads on this album, but then this strolls in and puts me to sleep. And I don't really buy Morning Silence, it's very average. Honestly, it doesn't even sound like a Stella Donnelly track anymore. Meh. But something about Stella Donnelly is just so unbelievably charming. I think this is one of my favorite singer-songwriter and indie pop albums of the year. Metals works really great too. It's just another really great ballad. It sounds like it's coming from her heart. And it shows, and it freaking hits hard. It is so easy to just drift away into this track and just take it all in. It is so delicate and charming, but it also has so much raw emotion that it doesn't feel like it's gonna blow away or anything. And the final moments here would show it taking a sort of turn for the indie pop, which comes with some really great backing vocals and some steamy horns. I'm 100% sold. Move Me, on the other hand, is a very lush, upbeat ballad with a lot of heart. It's very quaint. It's very reminiscent of a very simpler time in singer-songwriters. And honestly, I find something just so unbelievably likable about her vocals. They are so pure. It just makes me want to listen to this more and more, and the breezy atmosphere and the great horns once again. It's just so nice. And I've liked Flood ever since it dropped as a single too. It is a fantastic piano-driven indie ballad with tons of passion. It's sweet, it's sassy, it's got a backbone, it's got a real memorable hook too. There's some tasteful backing vocals and lyrics that remind me of the early days of Courtney Barnett. It's very real, and Cold, which ends off this album, is really great too. It's upbeat, it's light, it's fluffy, it's cozy, it's close to the heart, but it also packs that gut punch still. This is how you end this album. It really does such a great job of, painting this big glorious picture of the rest of the album while really also remaining catchy. It just seems right. This is exactly where I wanted to hear the finale of this album. Yeah, I think that she kind of blew her first album away by every means, and I really liked that album as it was. This time around, she's writing better ballads. Her songwriting is even more visual and more raw and, very potent at the end of the day. The production's great. The instrumentals are really nice. They're upbeat. They're breezy. The production's cool. The horns are nice. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about this album. Yeah, she can grow in a couple of ways, and there's a couple of tracks that are a little faceless, but overall, I'm really liking this album quite a bit. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of the better indie pop and singer-songwriter albums I've heard this year. Feeling a decent 8 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.